everybody, to the wild, wild west. That's right. We're talking about the AFC and NFC West, the two best divisions that football has to offer. I'm Lailend J. Duncan, joined by,
Brody Carter.
and we have a fun one today. Probably the only schedule that we're going to be doing live. I know technically the AFC, the first one we did, came out as a live, but it was traditionally supposed to be a video. This is our probably the only one we're going to be doing live because we're talking about two divisions from both conferences, and it's the best one features the AFC West, in which me and Brody's favorite teams lie, and the NFC West, in which the defending Super Bowl champion lies. So we're going to start off with probably a difficult question for most people to answer. Which West division is stronger in your opinion?
I'm going to say the AFC West just because I feel like, obviously the NFC West is always competitive, but it's like the Cardinals, they're kind of the weak link. And it's like, obviously the AFC West has the Raiders, but now after seeing what the Raiders have done and now what the Cardinals have done, I feel like the AFC West is going to be a lot more stronger just because I feel like the Raiders are going to be a lot more competitive this year. I think kind of people are saying that people are just going to be like, oh, they're just going to win 3-4 games. But I actually think that they're going to do pretty good this year. And, not like playoffs, but I think, win 5 to 6 games. But just because the AFC West has the Raiders and the NFC West has the Cardinals, I'm going to go with the AFC West.
Yeah, I think that's a fair point. I'm going to go with the NFC West just because I think that I feel like the Chiefs and Broncos are on that tier of contenders that the Chargers are not. And I think that the Seahawks, Rams, and 49ers are all contenders. You know what I'm trying to say? I feel like those three are all contenders. So, you brought up the Cardinals being the weakest link, and they are by far, and they're the weakest link in this entire stream. But I feel like we have three teams that are Super Bowl ready. It's kind of like they are. To me, that just kind of gives them the upper hand in the division, and so I think that's what I'm going to roll with here. Now I feel like this is we're on the same page though with this one in terms of who's the best overall team in both divisions. I think we're both on the same page though here.
Yeah, I'm gonna go in the AFC West.
Oh.
I'm gonna go with, because it's tough because it's do we go history, the last 5-10 years, or do we go from last year? If we're saying last year, I'm gonna go Denver, obviously, but over the past
Westerns?
No, out of the AFC. Out of the AFC West.
Oh. Okay.
No, yeah, you're good. I'm gonna go with Denver from last year, but obviously the past 5 years has to be Kansas City.
Yeah.
And then for the NFC West, I'm actually going to go with the Los Angeles Rams. I think, yes, the Seahawks won that division last year, but overall kind of roster-wise, I feel like the Rams have a stronger roster than the Seattle Seahawks.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think the Rams were the better team last year. I think that they're the better team again this year. I just think that we saw Sam Darnold play his best career game in the NFC Championship last year. And so I feel like that's kind of what they needed in that game. That's kind of what gave the Seahawks the edge, because in both regular season games, it was close. Actually, the first one wasn't close. It was kind of close, but not really. Sam Darnold played terrible. And the second one, the Rams were up so much, and then Sam Darnold locked in and had a legacy for third and fourth quarter. So probably game of the year, if not game of the last 5 years. It was such a good game. And so I feel like I'd have to agree with you on the Rams side because, like, I think that they're better overall, and I think that when you take all into account, 'cause, like Stafford, what he did against the Seahawks in that NFC Championship game, again, that was the one of the best, that was the best defense in the league, flat out, and he picked them apart all night. And the only thing that gave the Seahawks the edge was really a couple mistakes from the Rams, and the Rams not having a good quarterback, which they fixed this offseason and going to get Trent McDuffie, and they also signed Jalen Watson to add to this already stout secondary in terms of like including safeties. So I would have to agree with you on that. And then obviously, I think in the AFC West, it's going to be Denver. I think that Denver kind of stayed the same this year, while a lot of the teams got better in the AFC West. So I think that throne will be challenged. Um, you know, you have to take into account, obviously, KC was very decimated with injuries last year. It was a down year. The Chargers, same thing. So Denver did what they had to do and took advantage. So we can't blame them for that, right? Getting things done. But I think that this year it will be a lot closer in terms of the race to the top of the AFC West. And now I want to start this segment off in talking about the toughest schedule because I think it's KC, dude. I think the Chiefs' schedule, man, this year is brutal. Like I was going through it earlier when the schedules dropped, and I was like, huh. I was like going through like what would be guaranteed wins, and there's like three guaranteed like wins that like unless something goes catastrophically wrong, you should win. And then I had to stop and be like, wait, you can't even count the Raiders anymore just because of all they added in the offseason. Like they're definitely capable of knocking a team off. So it's I think the Chiefs definitely got one of the worst schedules, and it kind of sucks because we weren't even that good. Like we weren't even good last year. So like to turn around and have the schedule first, you're opening the season against the Broncos. That's always gonna be a tough game. No matter you open the season, play them in November, play them in December. Like it's gonna be a tough game. Then you have the Colts and Dolphins, which are two games. I think they'll win. Then I think they'll beat the Raiders the first time. Then you have the Chargers, Seahawks, Broncos. That's rough. Then you have to play the Jets. Should be a win. Falcons always going to be tough just because the Chiefs struggle at stopping the run, and that's Bijan Robinson, right? Cardinals, you should win. Then you have Bills, Rams, Bengals, Patriots, Niners, Chargers to end the season before you have to travel or before you get the Raiders at home again. So I hate our schedule this year. And
Oh,
six of
that's a
those
great schedule, actually.
six, six of those games are primetime games, and so like I think the Chiefs got the worst of the schedule gods this year. But go ahead and give your take on the worst schedule in the West, both Wests.
So there's actually something pretty funny. The AFC West, all four of their teams are under because like you know the six like there's 16 like the 16 easiest and then the 16 hardest. The Broncos actually have 18, and then everyone else, the Raiders, Chargers, and Chiefs are all in like the 20s. So it's kind of weird when you look at it, and then it's like the 49ers are 15. Like the Rams are obviously up there,
and 15. So like it goes the first 16 the easiest.
The first 16 are the hardest, and then the
so
last.
They have the Chiefs where?
One from 6. They have the Chiefs at 28. So they have the fourth. Is that fourth or fifth easiest schedule in the NFL? The Raiders have the 6th, which is crazy.
In what way?
So basically, what it is it takes. Oh, sorry. The NFL has it flipped the other way. I am so sorry. On the ones that I've seen, they do like from easiest to hardest. Okay. From hardest to easiest. This one's easiest to hardest. I'm sorry. I read that wrong.
Hardest then?
Yeah, so the Chiefs are the 5th hardest. Raiders are the 7th. Chargers are the 9th. And then the Broncos are right there at 18. So they're kind of like right in the middle. But it goes off of, the strength that like how your team finished last year.
Right.
So it's like if you finish 6-11, you're technically going to get an easier schedule, and it
Yeah.
also kind of fits in with like your division and kind of how because like Kansas City they still get a hard schedule because not only they finish 6-11, but it's kind of like oh they've had success the past couple of years, and it's kind of like your
Right.
roster on paper is how it is. So
Right, and that's why I was kind of hoping that our schedule would be lighter, um, just because like we sucked, to be quite honest, to be blunt. We kind of sucked last year. Yeah, RJ, you can get out of here. The Chiefs are not finishing third in the division again. That's not happening. If Mahomes is healthy,
I
they're
agree with you, Vit. I agree with you, Vit. No matter what.
there's no okay. We'll get into our schedule listings later, but I don't believe that you have the Chiefs after. But anyway, back to your hardest schedule in the West.
Yeah,
West.
I'm gonna I am gonna go with Kansas City. I think they did absolutely get screwed by their division or by uh, their schedule. They don't, however, have the toughest opening stretch. I feel like the toughest opening stretch is Denver because you have to
Yeah,
play.
yeah,
I think we have like 4 playoff teams that they have to
yeah.
play. That they like out of their first 6, they go Kansas City, Jacksonville, Rams, San Francisco, Los Angeles, and Seattle. So their first 6 are all playoff teams, which is
Yeah.
absolutely insane. And then you kind of get, and then you really go on a breeze. Like you could just go on coast because you have Arizona, Kansas City, Carolina, Las Vegas, Pittsburgh, Miami. Like
Yeah, other than the
you
Kansas
honestly
City
could
stuff.
end out and win that. Like you could honestly win out the rest of the year
Yeah.
if you so please. But yeah, I'm gonna go with Kansas City just because they got
Yeah.
screwed.
I mean, and honestly, to follow that up, I think the defending champs also have a really rough schedule, really rough repeat schedule. That's always, they did just win the whole thing, so it makes sense why their schedule is tough. But you open up the season in a Super Bowl rematch before you get the Cardinals, but I think that Washington game is going to be tough. Then Chargers, Niners, Broncos, Chiefs, Bears. That's a tough stretch. Then you have the Cardinals and Raiders, which are both games you should win. Before you have Niners, Seahawks, Giants, Eagles, Rams. And then you have the Panthers, who also made the playoffs, and then Rams to close the season. Highlight, especially on that Dallas game. I think that's always a rough game playing Dallas whenever. So I think the Seahawks also got a really rough schedule to go along with that, and so I think the Chiefs and the Seahawks both kind of got a tough schedule. And the other thing about the Broncos, like you said, I just think that they should I think they should at worst split their first 6, at worst 3-3. Like at the very if things
Oh
go,
yeah.
I think at the very worst they go 3-3. If something goes harder than that, I don't something had to have happened. Before, like you said, the only other game you probably lose is KC. And then maybe a trap game to like the Raiders. They always play well against the Chargers, so it kind of just depends. I know like Justin Herbert sucks against the Broncos, so um, other than that last year where he made that crazy throw. What week was that? Was that week? That was wild to Lad in the end zone. Oh, dude, that was that was
I
like
think that
one of
was I think that was our second game of the year. So
yeah.
no, it was the first. It was the first one. It was the first one because we went
Did you
one
go
and
0-1? I
three.
don't think you went 0-1 to start. No, the Charger. I don't think. I thought it was like the second one because the Broncos.
No, it was because we went Titans,
Right.
Colts, and then I think the Chargers because we
Yeah.
went like 1-2 or 1-3, and then we won 14
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
13 straight.
Yeah. I agree. That. Yeah. In terms of most dangerous quarterbacks in division, I don't feel like. See, I feel like this question or this prompt is a little rough because I feel like like in terms of QB talent, it's going to be the AFC West, just because in the NFC West, but like then you kind of be like, okay, so we have the MVP, Sam Darnold, Super Bowl winner, and then Brock Purdy. None of the Cardinals quarterbacks deserve a ranking, so I don't think I'm gonna give it to him. And then you have Mahomes, you have Herbert, you have Knicks, who are all probably, possibly, or around top 10. So there's that. But then you could say the same thing about. I feel like the thing that would give it the AFC West is that because Purdy and Herbert are both, or because Herbert and Nix are both around or possibly top 10, that kind of gives them an edge over a team like Darnold or a division like Darnold and Purdy, who are, we both agree, are outside the top 10. I mean, we'll get more into that into our tier list Tuesday video that comes out on Tuesday. But that in particular. So I feel like it's kind of close, but if you want to go ahead and talk about the toughest QB.
Yeah, I I am gonna go with the NFC West just
All right.
because you have Stafford, you have Purdy, you have Darnold. They're all really good quarterbacks, and I do think in a couple of years it will be the AFC West over the NFC West because I mean you
Mendoza.
have Mendoza's in there, you have Mr. If himself, you have Patrick Mahomes, and you have Bo Nix. So it's kind of like I feel like it's gonna be the rate or the AFC West, and that maybe 2-3 years, but right now it's the NFC West.
For sure, for sure. And now we'll get into what me and you agree is the best division in football, the AFC West. The team where, like we just talked about, both of our favorite teams reside. For the last 10 years, it's been KC dominated. And now we're heating up. Now the crock pot's starting to hit. Mom's crock pot dinner is getting a little toasty this time, okay? Because we have the Broncos, who are the defending division champs, the Chargers, who finished second last year and have been a perennial playoff team for the last couple of years. That being that they had like very little success, but playoffs nonetheless. KC, who's won 2 out of the last 4 Super Bowls. Obviously, not too long. Winner is making a dwelling there. He'll be coached by Tom Brady, Clint Kubiak, and Kirk Cousins, all learning from the pot of wealth that is around Fernando Mendoza. So great division, and we'll start off with your favorite team, the defending champs, the Denver Broncos. I'm going to give you the spotlight here in a second, and because I know this is something you've been waiting to talk about, and we're going to talk about their offensive struggles and how the defense was kind of their rock last year. I know you hated Sean Payton calling plays. You've been pleading for it feels like a whole year now for Davis Webb to get the spot at play caller, and he has it now. So do you think that the offensive struggles will turn into offensive success in a more well-rounded team now with Davis Webb calling the plays?
Yeah, I do. Because it's like you look and you see, oh, the Broncos paid Evan Ingram, 2 years technically it'll be 2 years when the season starts. 2 years ago in free agency, and he didn't do anything. He didn't do anything.
Very disappointing.
And so obviously JK was a stud. He got hurt, and he still had 700 yards of. He still had 700 rushing yards, which was absolutely insane. He got hurt like week 10. Imagine how good of a run team that we could have had. I will say I do like the Jonah Coleman pick because I feel like he is JK, just a younger JK. I feel like he is a lot like JK. RJ is kind of more that like bruiser Javonte Williams that we had. And he's kind of like Troy Franklin. He's not that good until you have to like come back and win game or kind of just put the game away,
Yeah, he's just inefficient and he's young.
But I will say I think Davis Webb improves this team, and I think going out and getting Jalen Waddle was really good for this team because they drafted Marvin Mims and they wanted Mims to be like Waddle. Obviously they're not the same players, they're not. But Mims in Bo's rookie year, we saw him get down deep downfield. He had that crazy catch against the Browns. He had that crazy catch against the Bengals. And so they wanted him to be like a Jalen Waddle, but now he's kind of just like your return guy, which I'm fine with that because he's a great return guy. But I will say, now that Davis Webb is calling plays, we're going to be. I feel like the offense is going to flow really well. And obviously, it's the preseason. They're playing like you're still playing pro guys. And guess who was calling plays when we were dominating in the preseason? Davis Webb. Davis Webb was calling plays in the preseason. And
And
like I
didn't he
said,
call
we
plays
were.
at a certain point in the year, like early on, before Peyton
Yeah.
took it out?
Yeah. I think it was the Indianapolis game where we showed
Yeah, well,
showed
like
that we could
right,
win. And we didn't capitalize because of that stupid
leverage
freaking
penalty.
leverage penalty.
It
But
was funny because like after that penalty, I feel like it was called like 3 other times. Like never heard it called ever in a game before in my life, and then they call it that game, and it felt like it got called like 3 more times this year, which is like wild. But remember
yeah,
when Kadarius Toney got caught with the offensive offsides? I feel like the same thing happened then when that happened. But keep going.
yeah. But yeah, I feel like it's going to kind of be the Super Bowl 50 team, as in like Bo can go out there, he's gonna score, and just have your defense, you know, stop if you can, because it kind of gets to a point where it's like you don't want to win one score games, and we saw what happened to Kansas City. You go 15-2 one year, and then you end up not even making the playoffs the year after and struggling.
Looking
But I feel like
terrible in the 4 games
yeah,
last year.
yeah, you have to beat out your opponent. You don't have to beat them by 30, but as long like you beat the Raiders by like 3 points, 3 to 10 points. But I do think that this team is getting a lot of hate. Personally, I think Bo Nix gets a lot of hate, and I'm not just saying that because of a Bronco. Like I'm like, oh, I'm not because I'm defending my quarterback. Like I do think that majority of people are like, oh yeah, Bo Nix is not that good. Yes, he's a young quarterback in the league. He's not going to
Yeah,
be just because he played till he was 24 in college
450
does not
years in
mean
college.
yeah, it does not mean that he's going to be flashy. But that's
Right.
just me,
I
and
mean, and he showed
I
flashes in
yeah,
his rookie year. Like he came
yeah,
into like I mean, I think like in all reality, out of that rookie class, I think that he showed like I mean, I'm pretty sure he was the only one other than what Jay and Daniels to go to the playoffs that year.
yeah,
And Jay and Daniels had the benefit of not playing Josh Allen in the first round. So I will say though, Vit again, like I don't think that taking that with ease is a stretch. I do agree that I think we both agree that the Broncos are one of the most complete teams in the league. And unfortunately, and I don't mean to larp this on to Bo Nix, I do think the success of this team is going to be they will go as far as Bo Nix takes them. I think that Bo Nix is kind of at this age when you have such a complete team, there are going to be just like a few games where like the quarterback is going to be the guy that takes them there. And you saw that with the Seahawks last year, right? Darnold had a few games where he needed to, and he did. He took them to the next level, right? That's kind of what separates them. And so since Bo Nix has really never had to have that game, and I think the closest he did was the Bills game, and he played well. So I think we're gonna just need. And unfortunately I hated the way they used Bo Nix last year. I thought they didn't let him use his legs as much. I thought that passing the ball 40 times a game is a recipe for disaster. Just in terms of like his numbers look worse because he had like 40 pass attempts per game. And partially because he didn't have a running game. And so I think the Broncos are a really good team. In terms of their trap game or potential upset, the only game really I think is the other obviously like they obviously have tough games. The Chiefs game is going to be tough. The Patriots game is going to be tough. Right, like Seahawks again, that's going to be tough. But all those games are going to be tough. So I wouldn't consider those trap games. I do think they get it done against teams like the Raiders, the Steelers, and the Panthers, the Dolphins. I don't see them losing any of those games. The game I potentially see them losing or like upset is the Bills on Christmas because that's a 5-day turnaround, and I just feel like whoever plays on Christmas is going to get the worst of that because that 5-day turnaround is not fun. You have to go from playing on Sunday to playing a couple of days later on Friday, I believe, and so. Shorter week. I think that's going to be a rough game. They do have home field advantage. They beat obviously Josh Allen has PTSD from losing to them last year. So I would say that that's their toughest game, but I want to hear your opinion on that too.
Yeah. I think I'm actually going to go with Pittsburgh here because it's in Acrisure.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's a 5-day turnaround, like you said. I feel like I don't think it's going to be Buffalo only because it's home.
Yeah.
And
that's
obviously, trap games can happen wherever, but it's like you're going from Vegas, which is basically a home game. And you're not really traveling that far either. It's not like not like you are Buffalo where you have to go from, Vegas to Buffalo. It's not like you're flying across the country. And it's not that bad of a flight because it's like they have their bye week. Then you're going to mollywop the Raiders by 400. And then you have to go into Acrisure in 5 days. I think that game, I don't think we'd lose that game. I just think it's going to be like kind of like a
it could potentially,
it's going to it could be by like a field goal, but I don't think it's going to be by a touchdown.
Oh no.
I love your Steelers. I love the Steelers, but I just think that Pittsburgh is going to be that game. And I'm just saying with Buffalo, I think because it's a home game and you basically have a home game in Vegas, I just think it's going to be, a walk in the park. And like I said, it's not traveling. Like it's traveling, you're not traveling that far. Or sorry, it's not going to be a walk in the park. It's the Bills. They are always tough. But yeah, I'm looking at this now. I'm going to say Pittsburgh just because that's a 5-day turnaround and you have to go almost over halfway across the country to go and play in Pittsburgh. So I'm going to go with Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I think that's a valid point. When I saw that game, I thought I highlighted that one as a potential upset too, just because traveling into Pittsburgh is never fun. They're always going to make the game muddy. That's just how this is the Steelers' way. Overall, with the Broncos this year, I'm going to say I have them finishing second in the division, and I have them. I know they won 14 games last year. I don't think they're gonna win that many again. I have them cutting that to 11 or 12-ish wins this year. I just think that the one-score games this year, they're gonna have to lose a couple of those rather than just almost sweeping it like they did last year. And so I personally have them splitting with KC. And we'll get it, and when we get into closer to preseason, that specific team or specific division game by game, we'll highlight the potential loss. But I'm going 11-6 or 12-5 in that range, and finishing second in the division, not missing a beat, obviously, because I think they'll be just as good as they were last year and be a tough team for anybody in the playoffs.
Yeah, I have them going either 12-5 or 13-4. Like I said, they're not gonna win 14 games this year. I have them starting off the year going 4-2. Yeah, I have them starting off 4-2. I have them. It's kind of an either or for me. They're either gonna lose to the Rams at home or they're gonna lose to San Francisco in Santa Clara. I feel like it's gonna be either or. I'm going to say they're going to lose to San Francisco because they're home against the Rams, and that's a primetime game.
Yeah.
I feel like, again, I'm not just saying this because I'm a fan. Mile High is a tough place to play. No matter anywhere is a tough place to play, even if it's the dang Cardinals for all we're saying. But I have them going 4-2 in the opening stretch. I have them sweeping everybody in the division except for the Chargers. I think the Chargers always have a number late in the year.
You think they're sweeping KC?
They're not. Kansas City's not beating us week one, whether they have Mahomes or not. And then it's
is that at Denver or in KC?
That first game is in Kansas City.
Yeah, come on.
What happened
Come
last
on.
year, bud? What happened
Huh?
last year, bud? What happened last
What
year?
happened last year when you played at KC? It was on Christmas, and Chris Duncan very nearly handed you an L. I think week 1. No, I got KC winning that game. I can't ride the way, and they're definitely not sweeping KC. If they beat KC in KC, which is like I think both teams are going to win at home. That's what I have. I have both teams winning at home. I actually have them sweeping the Raiders and sweeping the Chargers because I don't think the Chargers are very good.
I do think it's kind of going to either be like I always say every year. I'm like, you're going to sweep the Raiders. You're going to sweep either the Chargers or the Chiefs. I feel like it's kind of I mean obviously
you're not beating KC 4 straight times. Well, actually, that's 5 straight now because you beat us at the end of 2020.
Yeah, so it'd be that would the first game would be 4 straight, but then at the end of the year it'd be 5 straight. And I will say one thing about our schedule: we got so lucky because we don't have to play Kansas City after our bye week.
Yeah,
which is always a good thing. And we have the Raiders, but it's like we only have 3 divisional games after the bye week because you got the Raiders twice and then the Chargers, and that's at home. But yeah, I feel like it's either sweep the Chargers and we'll split with the Chiefs, or sweep the Chiefs and lose to the Chargers because the Chargers always have our number at the beginning of the year because the Chargers, they start off hot and then they go on a steep decline.
Yeah,
but I will say if that offensive line, if both teams' offensive lines, for crying out loud, the Chiefs or the Chargers, if they don't perform up to par like they have been in the past couple of years, I could see them, winning.
I just think that
lose to Kansas, I think if the Chiefs and Chargers are doing good at the beginning of the year, we're going to go 12-5. But if either team kind of struggles, it's going to be 13-4.
I just don't see you sweeping KC. And now we'll talk about the Chargers. Look, with this team, I feel like they've been on the cusp of contender status, but they're not. First of all, Jim Harbaugh is notorious for losing playoff games as a coach. I know his brother is too, but Jim is right there with him because Jim's never won a Super Bowl. John has, just saying. And Herbert is notoriously bad in the playoffs. Now, last year, granted, he had 0 offensive line to assist him, but regardless, didn't perform well either. And so they're getting Amorion Hampton back, which is big because they had no run game to end the season last year, like negative run game. It was like Kamari Vidal was their start. Like it was bad. It was bad. They're losing Keenan Allen. No, is he still there? No, I think he left. I think he retired. I'm pretty sure he retired. Almost positive.
Yeah, he did.
I think Ladd's going to take a big step because I think Ladd's a really good player. I really do. You're getting David Njoku. They added Mesidor in the draft, who's an older prospect, which kind of worries me as a defensive because either he's going to be good coming out, but there's not much in terms of player development there. So I think he's either going to be really good coming out or he's going to be a dud, and that's kind of what you get with older defensive prospects. And so I don't know. I feel like Justin Herbert, this is a prove-it year for him because people are just kind of on his neck now, especially with that last loss, the Patriots. People are just kind of on his neck. And so I don't know with the Chargers. To me, I don't think they're going to be that good. I have them missing the playoffs. I have them finishing 3rd in the division at 9-8, 8-9. I honestly don't feel like, and I don't know how long Jim Harbaugh stays there. In terms of, I just don't think they're that good. I don't know. I feel like they're kind of capped at mid for me. And unless Justin Herbert takes that next step, I don't know.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think they're going to go 8-9. I think that they're going to finish third in the division because it's like you look at it and all their tough games, except I mean, obviously San Francisco's tough, and New England's tough, but all their tough games are away.
And they're not
They
good on the
have
road. They're not.
no. They have Denver away at the end of the year. They have Tampa Bay away, which I think Tampa could, when we get to the NFC South, I think they could be, pretty good.
Yeah.
You have Baltimore, you have the Rams, you have Seattle, you have Buffalo, you have all these teams. All those teams that I just listed are away, and you obviously have Denver and Kansas City. So, I mean,
I just think it's rough.
Yeah, I have them. I think I do disagree with you on the Harbaugh. I think Harbaugh's going to stay there. I kind of think it's just going to be like, let's see what we can get in these next couple of years, and let's build around.
They need a splash. Like I just feel like they're missing a splash.
And I don't know. I always say this when it comes to coaches. It's like if you're going to let a player develop, you got to let a coach develop. You can't just be like a one and done unless they're truly terrible.
Sure,
like Nathaniel Hackett or Urban Meyer, but I think Jim has proven it in the NFL.
I just feel like they reached their cap on
49ers. That's true.
I thought they should have made Minter the head coach a while ago, and obviously he's gone now, so it doesn't matter. But I
will say, I think that Mike McDaniel, offensive coordinator,
That's a good point.
I will say. Maybe we're going to get clipped and the Chargers win the division. I'm not praying for that to happen, but I'm just saying. But Mike McDaniel's there, and I think what was going on in Miami was not his fault. I don't think he should have been fired. I think it should have been,
I thought he should have stayed too.
I think it should have been front office that got fired.
I get what they were trying to do, like the whole culture switch and like.
Yeah,
I know there's stuff coming out like he's not a great leader, which I don't think that really matters. I think he's a young head coach anyway, so like leadership is going to be a question regardless. I agree with you though. I think maybe we see an unlocking of Justin Herbert under Mike McDaniel. Yeah, totally. I think we'll definitely see Ladd McConkey break out though. I think he's going to break out this year. I think he's been on the cusp. Last 2 years, I think he leads that draft class in receiving yards, which is ridiculous. We're talking about the draft class like Marvin Harrison Jr. and those guys, Brian Thomas, and Ladd McConkey is the top guy right now, because of consistency. Because Ladd is like the definition of consistent. Like he's going to give you a good 8 with like 60 to 100 yards each game.
Yeah, and he was like the reason why I won so many of my fantasy games last year.
I think he's breaking out this year though, like 13 to 1,500 yards, 10 plus tutties. I think this is the year of Ladd McConkey, finally, because I was like, they don't use it like in the playoffs. They didn't use him. They didn't use them in the playoffs against the Texans, which pissed me off because like the Texans' biggest weakness was like they can't guard the slot because you have two great outside corners, but nobody in the slot, and they didn't use them. But it's what it is.
But I mean, who knows? Maybe I don't think they're fixing that offensive line with Mike McDaniel at all. With Mike McDaniels is he McDaniel or he's McDaniel, right?
McDaniel.
Okay,
McDaniel.
So I don't think Mike McDaniel is obviously going to fix that offensive line with the thing because it's not his job to fix the offensive line. But who knows? We could see Herbert using. I feel like he doesn't really use his legs that much anymore.
No, I think he could because he got long strides. He's obviously not as fast, but he's got very long strides. He's a tall guy.
Yeah, he kind of reminds me of Dak. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah,
like mobility wise, he can get out and scramble if he wants, but he's mainly just a pocket guy.
Yeah, and you got two cornerstone tackles in Alt and Slater when they're healthy. I know Slater has like been decimated with injuries the last couple of years, which totally sucks. Hopefully he's healthy this year, and then obviously Joe Alt played beautiful last year in the few games he played in. So, I think like they kind of have the pieces. You have the franchise quarterback. You have two good tackles. You have a couple good. You have Derwin James on the defensive end. Khalil Mack stayed. You're adding Mazador. I think corner is a big question mark for them. They don't really have a lockdown corner, and I think that's a little bit scary, especially because Derwin James is just not great in coverage. He's a big hitter. I mean, he's not terrible in coverage, but he's definitely not as good. I think they, like you said, interior O line's a question and running backs a question in terms of if we need to see Hampton have a full year of success. So 8 and 9, I think we agree on that.
I will say one thing. They did go out and get Jake Slaughter from Florida. They got a center,
Yeah,
and they kind
yeah,
of. I feel like they kind of had a quiet draft. It was because they really didn't do any, like no splashes, obviously,
yeah.
but I do think that those rookies could potentially take over the spots of. I don't even know who their center is. I don't even know their
It
guards,
was
but it's
Bradley.
like,
It was like the worst interior lineman of all time, Bradley Bozeman. He sucked last year, so
oh yeah,
he's done.
yeah,
Slaughter's taking that job for sure. And Mesidor is going
yeah,
to be a perfect complement to Khalil Mack on the outside as well.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think with those draft picks just skyrocket the offensive line from how it is now. Even if those guys are terrible, it's like, hey, they're rookies, they're gonna learn. But I think I think Slaughter does improve that offensive line a lot.
right. And then the health of Justin Herbert's always going to be a question, just because he seems to be bouncing back and forth in terms of he's healthy, he's not healthy. But it's not like Joe Burrow where you have like a full year of health and then a year of injuries. It's for the last couple of years, it's just been injury, not injury, not injury, not injury for Herbert, like week to week. And obviously, last year he ended the season with
Yeah,
what was it, like a fractured thumb or whatever, in his non-throwing hand,
I
or
thought it
it
was
was
a
a fractured
foot.
hand. I think he fractured his whole hand. I'm almost positive it was his
Oh
hand
yeah,
because he had the glove on.
oh yeah, because he wore that
Yeah.
brace. Yeah, yeah,
So the health, hopefully Madison Beer can nurse him to health this year, and we can see a full healthy year of Justin Herbert, which we haven't really seen since his rookie year, where he broke all those records. Um,
yeah.
Now we're talking about my favorite team, the actually 3-time, 4-time, technically all time, 4-time Super Bowl champion, the 3-time in my lifetime, thankfully, the Kansas City Chiefs, who like last year, obviously 6-11, Mahomes gets hurt to end the season, and you just tank, I guess. Um, that Raiders loss was like, "Oh, yeah, we're cooked." That Raiders loss for me was like, "Oh, yeah, we're cooked." When we lost
I was getting my hair cut that day, and the my barber, she was a Chiefs fan, and I
yeah,
was just loving life that day. I hate the Raiders, but it's
yeah.
like me being a Broncos fan, because
Oh,
it's like
yeah,
I feel like because we used to have a heated rivalry with the Chargers.
yeah.
Now it's the Kansas City Chiefs,
Yeah, yeah, I
undoubtedly.
felt that
But
last year
I
for
remember watching
sure,
that, and I was like,
bro.
yes.
Yeah, bro, it's like, because Mahomes used to destroy the Broncos every time they played, and he still obviously has an insanely favorable record against them, but has I mean, we don't really count the end of 2024 because Mahomes didn't play that game. Carson Wentz did. And so games he started, he is lost his. He finally lost to the Broncos against Russ, and then lost to them. I was it. No, we beat them later in the season or earlier in the season, and then as just now lost to Bo Nix. So very some losses there. They rebuilt this offseason. I still think they're gonna at least be in the mix for AJ Brown. I'm not gonna say they're gonna go out and get him, but I think they're gonna be in the mix. And I think we're gonna sign Stephon Diggs. He's a free agent. I think it makes sense, especially with Rashee Rice acting like a fool. You definitely need another receiver to be safe here. But you did add Kenneth Walker, much needed, much needed. I can't understate that. Kenneth Walker is much needed. You added Aloy Gilman as a safety, who I think is going to be an underrated signing this offseason. I really do like that addition there. Peter Woods in the draft, Emmett Johnson in the draft. Mansour Delane in the draft. So you retooled. Obviously, with the rookies, you're asking them to step up big in their first year, which is one thing. And then Mahomes and Bieniemy are back together; they're reunited, and so Definitely some brighter days ahead, I think, in Kansas City, especially compared to last year. I know. Funny thing, one of our prompts was, "Can they be dethroned?" They were last year. Denver dethroned them. But in terms of, I think that what they have the second most, they're tied for second most primetime games this season, which is just they're the Chiefs. They're going to get a bunch of primetime games. Um, yeah, I think that definitely the toughest stretch, and we touched on this a little earlier. Was let me pull it up here. It was the yeah, Bills, Rams, Bengals, Patriots, Niners, Chargers. Yeah, for sure. I think that the Chiefs definitely are gonna make the playoffs. Yeah, I think me and Brody both agree on that. I think they're back, but tough schedule. That stretch is gonna be rough because like last year we would have lost all of those games because they all would have been close and we would have lost all of them. Also, fun thing with the Bills game is like we're looking at what like the fifth straight year of Josh Allen of Josh Allen beating Mahomes in the regular season. I don't think it's going to happen. I think the Chiefs finally win this year, but Lord, would that be a narrative? Obviously, Mahomes owns the playoff series. But anyway, KC definitely a tougher schedule, but I think they kind of have the schedule to deal with it. If you want to give your thoughts on KC.
Yeah, I do agree with you. I think it is the Buffalo to San Francisco stretch that's going to be the toughest. One thing that really hurts them, especially after coming off of last year, is their bye week. They have
the early bye week.
They have a week 5 bye week, and I always say you want to have your bye week later in the year because you'd much rather play all the teams. You'd much rather play 11 straight and then end the year with 6 straight.
Yeah.
Than start the year with 6 and then have to finish out the year, because it always gives you like late season injuries always happen and it's easier to recover.
Yeah.
But yeah, I will go ahead and say that. But
yeah, I hate that bye week, man. I hate it. It's such a bad bye week.
Yeah.
But needed.
No, I'm good.
And so with KC, I think I have them finishing the same way around Denver, 12-11 to I think maxing out at 13 wins this season. I honestly think that game's going to come down to like some like crazy, that division's going to come down to some crazy tiebreaker where it's like the Chiefs had more points or had more AFC wins or something, or the Broncos had more AFC wins. But I think they both finished with the same-ish record, maybe a game difference, and I think that's what separates them. I have the Chiefs finishing first in the division. I think Mahomes gets back to his MVP-like form, yeah, that's why I have him passing for over 4,000 yards, which is like the bare minimum, it feels like, but he hasn't done that the last 2 years. So I have him getting back to his MVP-like form. I have him finishing first, same-ish record as the Broncos. If you want to give your thoughts on the Chiefs.
I have them going 11-6 or 12-5. One of the two. And I feel like they get absolutely obliterated, like I said, with that stretch. Buffalo, Los Angeles Rams, and Cincinnati are all away games. Yeah, but I'm saying the Bills game, the Rams game, and the Bengals game. Those 3 games are away.
I guess the Rams game won't hurt because the Rams don't really have a home crowd.
That is true. Yeah.
But the Bills playing at Bills and
the Bills 100% do, and it's late in the year too. It could be snowing.
Yeah, I do think because they got the dome now.
Oh, that is true. Yeah.
I do think that I just think they kind of. No way you lose to the same team 5 times, but keep going.
And then I think they lose. So I think they lose to Cincinnati, and then it's either a New England or San Francisco split. They're either going to win against New England and lose against San Francisco, or they're going to beat San Francisco and lose to New England.
You're not gonna.
I just think that New England is the better, or is the worst team. So I think that they are going to lose to San Francisco. That's just me though, just because they got decimated by injuries, and I think when this team is healthy, they are 1,000 times better than New England. But yeah, I think it is going to be. I think they are going to finish around 11-6 or 12-5.
Yeah, I agree with this comment here. I think the Chiefs beat the. I think they beat the Patriots and Niners this season.
Yeah, and I think they do have it because it is at home. Both of those games are at home. But yeah, sorry.
I think no, you're good. I think that in terms of I just think that they just turn it around. I think they split against the Broncos. I could see them losing that Seahawks game in Seattle. I think they do split Bills and Rams. I mean, I think to sweep those two games would be remarkable. For sure. Like, I think if you beat the Bills and Rams back to back, that's a statement. That's like best team in the league type statement with that. So I don't see that happening. But I do, and I obviously could see a loss to the Bengals because I don't we always seem to lose to the Bengals. So wouldn't be shocked at that. But I do think that they win out after that stretch. So it's up there. Like you said, I think 11-6, 12-5 are both reasonable records. And I think, like I said, maybe potentially maxing out at 13 is just as reasonable. Two good teams we have. And to end out the AFC West, we're yapping about the Las Vegas Raiders.
Bottom of the barrel.
What?
Bottom of the barrel.
Bottom of the barrel, for sure. Although things seem to be on the up and up again. They had a big free agency. They obviously had a big draft with adding Fernando Mendoza. Also, they got what was the corner they got late in the draft that fell down the board? Why am I blanking on his name?
Jermod McCoy.
Yeah, Jermod McCoy, who just slid down draft boards because of an injury. He's there now, and I think that's going to – a lot of teams are going to regret passing on him. Kirk's going to start early. I think we agree on that. We have one of the better offensive play callers in Clint Kubiak. Yes. Thoughts on Kirk teaching Mendoza? I think that this is probably the best case scenario for Fernando Mendoza. I think what Fernando lacks at is kind of like that consistency in terms of can you consistently be good? And I think that is what Kirk has been in his career. Kirk has been consistently good to decent. And I think that can only benefit Fernando Mendoza. And then on top of that, you have Tom Brady in that locker room. Tom Brady is in that locker room. Obviously a co-owner of the Raiders, and so that is going to do wonders for Fernando because I'm sure Brady's going to be very active in Fernando's development with Kirk Cousins, with Clint Kubiak. So I think Fernando really benefits from having a great learning situation around him. And I think obviously they got Linderbaum to add to that elite offensive line, which again I think only benefits Mendoza because you get now a trusty center. Colton Miller still there. So they have Jackson Powers Johnson at guard. Their offensive line is solid. They have some solid weapons around them. I think this team is very sneaky. I think this could be a sleeper team for sure. Just because you have the pieces around it. Just kind of depends on quarterback play. Is Kirk going to return to his former state of just being one of the better quarterbacks in the league? Or if Kirk does, if he stays kind of average E, how does Mendoza look if and when he gets time this season? So it kind of just depends on quarterback play for me. But I think this team is pretty average, to be honest. I think 6 or 7 wins, no pun intended, is the my thought there, and I'm kind of excited to this team's gonna be fun to watch. I think Genty, I think, is gonna have a way better year. So I think this is a fun team that we have on our hands in terms of the Las Vegas Raiders, and I'm kind of glad that this is where Mendoza went because if you would ask me a couple weeks ago or a couple months ago, I would have been yeah, Mendoza's gonna struggle. It's gonna be a death sentence for him at Vegas, but then they got Kubiak, and then they that kind of made things a lot better. Then they got Kirk to start, and then they got had a massive free agency. So a very fun situation going on in Vegas.
Yeah. Sorry, I had to use the bathroom. But
No,
I
you're good.
do like the Kirk teaching Mendoza. I kind of feel like there, no matter what rookie you are, I feel like if there is a vet in the locker room, hell, even if it's Jacoby Brissett, he's
Yeah.
not good, but it's like he's a vet. He knows what he's doing. And I feel like learning under a vet like Kirk Cousins, he showed that he can, win games. You like that, right?
Right. I think Kirk's
But
like probably the best vet you could learn from. Like out of all
yeah,
the vet to backups, Kirk's got to be the best.
I would say Stafford in my opinion, but
Well, Stafford's not a vet to backup. Stafford top
oh,
elite.
oh, yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, 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 yeah. That's what you're saying.
Maybe
I
Rodgers,
think,
I guess, because he's kind of average
yeah,
now.
yeah, but I do like that a lot. I don't think he's gonna start off the year, or maybe he could, because it's like you have Miami and they're terrible. But
You don't want to. Clint Kubiak has a history of liking veterans, so I think Kirk's starting
yeah, and
regardless.
and yeah, that is true. And he did say during like the press conference when they drafted Mendoza, like he's not gonna start unless something terrible happens to Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, or
And like
unless he like is
he like
just like
gets hurt.
unplayable.
Yeah,
If
but
Kirk is
I feel like
unplayable, maybe.
yeah, I feel like this team goes 6-11. I don't really
Yeah,
think they're gonna do, that good. They kind of have a brutal opening stretch. You know, Kansas
yeah,
City, New England, Buffalo, or the Rams, and then they have to go to San Francisco, Seattle,
yeah.
Denver. You
Probably
play
Owen.
Denver again. You play Kansas City. So it's kind
Probably
of
Owen
like,
for that stretch.
yeah. And I feel like they're kind of in. I mean, it depends on how all the other teams shake out, but it's like they might be on the sweepstakes for Jeremiah Smith.
Yeah,
I don't think he's going to go number one. I mean, kind of no matter where he goes. But I mean, you
I
could
think the
say
quarterback
Arch
goes
goes once,
I think a quarter. I think
but
Archer or more go
yeah.
one.
But I mean, if you finish around that 5, 6, 7, 8 range, and if Jeremiah Smith, if he somehow falls, I don't think he will.
I don't think
But
he
if but
will.
if he
You have to
falls,
trade
but if
up.
he falls, yeah, you might go out and get him. But I do like, unfortunately, what this Raiders team is, and they also still have Max Crosby too.
Yep.
I like the Linderbaum. As an Iowa fan, I like the Linderbaum signing. As I like the Jackson Powers Johnson, they have had him.
Yeah. 2,
Uh,
3 years
I
ago.
think, and Genty last year that offensive line was terrible, and Genty still almost had 1,000 yards rushing.
Yep.
And I do think that Genty will improve. I think this whole team will improve, and it's kind of nice that you know being a rookie. Oh, I have Ashton Genty, a guy that's already proven to be a good
Yeah.
running back. Like I don't have to throw the ball 40 times in a game. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think they go 6-11. I think they finish last in the division again this year.
Yeah. I
But
agree.
it's a good
Yeah.
last
It's a
record.
positive
It's
thing.
yeah, it's a positive thing to do, and it's like, hey, 6 wins and you get last in one of the best divisions in football. I think that's a positive sign. And even if you're a Raiders fan too, you're like, oh, 6-11 with Kirk and Mendoza kind of going back and forth. You could see the Raiders, not winning the division, but improving year by year. So I really
And
like what they're
honestly,
doing.
and this might sound outlandish, but I could see a scenario where Mendoza doesn't play at all because Kirk's playing pretty good ball. Because I don't think I'm not ready to give up on Kirk.
I wasn't ready to give up on him when he got benched in Atlanta. I think he struggled to get back to form. He was coming off an Achilles injury. And so I personally think Kirk could like play good enough, and like I said, this could be a sleeper team. And we don't see Mendoza at all this year, which also is not a negative thing. So I see a couple scenarios like that. But yes, I agree. The Raiders finishing last, and that closes out the AFC West, which is we agree the best division in football. But now we're traveling to the NFC West, where we have the defending champs, and we have the Los Angeles Rams, reigning defending MVP, the Niners,
who what a freaking turnaround last year. When Purdy got back, and Mac Jones played great ball too. So there's that. And then the Cardinals, who pretty much only positive thing going on in Arizona right now is they have Jeremiah Love, which is going to be fun to watch. But other than that, it's probably going to be a same dud of a season. But we're going back to the defending champs. We're circling back. We're talking about the Seattle Seahawks. And while I think they are going to be in the running, obviously, to defend their title, and I think that's unfair to say that they're not going to be back there. But I don't know. I think yes, the Cardinals quarterback, Jacoby Brissett's holding out because he wants a contract extension, which is crazy because you're Jacoby Brissett. But anyway, the Seahawks, I think this is one of the better defending teams, but I think they are just as easily be able to fall into a trap, and they might struggle this season. And so the Seahawks are kind of in that rough spot. They lost a lot in the offseason. I do really like that end of Jadarian Price pick at the end because it kind of showed me that they were willing to address a need, regardless of if they only had 4 picks in the draft, and they said, we're going to use our first one on our back because we need to get another back. So I think that they're going to be good. I'm not saying that, but I don't have them winning the division this year. I could see them honestly finishing third. I agree. I think the Seahawks are going to be mid as well. So I don't know. I feel like it's kind of what you get when you defend the title and you're not able to bring everybody back. Those are traditionally the teams that we see repeat are the teams that win and bring everybody back. So that didn't happen. And so with the Seahawks, in my opinion, I have them finishing third in the division, but I do have them winning a healthy 10-7 games this season. I think they're still going to be pretty good. I think they will make the playoffs. But I do think that they struggle overall to get her done.
Yeah.
I don't think they repeat.
No. I do see them also going 10-7. Again, it's a good third place team. Mm-hmm. We're not saying third place, we're not saying, they're going to be 7-10 or 8-9. They're going to be a good third place team. I do think that they do miss out of the playoffs, though, even going 10-7, because I feel like the NFC is going to be very good this year.
Yeah.
I mean, they're always really good.
Yeah.
But yeah, you start off the year with the Super Bowl rematch, then it's kind of like just terrible. I'm looking at their schedule right now. It's like they go on an easy streak playing the Cardinals and the Raiders, and then you don't have a week except for week 14 where you don't play a playoff team, and they have to end they got so screwed because they have the Rams week 16 and then they have the Rams week 18. They play them twice within a span of 3 weeks, and I think they got screwed with their schedule. But again, I think they are a very good team, and I think they will not win the division. I think that goes to – actually, I'll save that because I'll save that. But I think they do place third in the division.
Yep.
And again, not a bad third place team.
Nope, not at all. And now their division rival, these two had such an amazing game to end the season. It was week 17, and then they followed that up with a great NFC Championship performance. So 2 of the best teams in the league for sure. We're talking about the defending MVP and Matthew Stafford and the Rams. Now, who I'm just going to go out and say they're my division winner. I think they're going to be the 1 seed in the NFC, and I think they have a very strong chance at winning it all. I think the McDuffie trade addressed a massive flaw in their team last year, which was they didn't have a corner, and they traded for one and signed one. I think they have a great safety room. Cam Curl's back there. Cameron Kitchen's also back there. Now McDuffie and Watson to go also. Nate Landman in the middle. Very, very good inside linebacker. And then obviously pass rush, Jared Verse, Braden Fisk, Byron Young, Kobe, what's his last name? Kobe, what is his last name? I'm blanking on it. The D tackle. The D tackle. He's like a big guy in the middle on the Rams. His name's Kirby Turner. There it is.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Turner in the middle. So I think this team is overloaded with talent, and that's not even to mention Stafford, Kyron Williams, Blake Corum, Puka Nakua, who's obviously had some off-season issues, but I don't think that affects his play at all. I think he's just a stud. So Nakua, Devontae Adams, just a crazy team, and I know I still think they shouldn't have wasted their first-round pick on. I want to say wasted because like you address a future need, which is going to be what happens after Stafford, but still you had a chance to potentially get something that helps today, like a Mekhi Lemon, like a Ruben Bain. So I think that I don't really like that move at all. But this team's good, man. This team's good, and I have them winning the division. And I think they're my only 14-win team this year. I just think they're very good. I think they have the leg up in the race right now.
Yeah. I'm going to say that if they win 14 games, obviously they'll win the division. But I feel like there might be a time where, I'm very high on the San Francisco 49ers this year. I think when they're healthy, they're really good. I don't think they're going to win the division, or it might come down to even a tiebreaker if they finish with the same record. But I'm going to say just because of how they went or how they finished last year, I'm going to say that the Rams win the division. I have them going 14-3 or 13-4. It kind of just depends. But yeah, I do like the Simpson pick, but not at where they picked. Where they picked him at, because there were so many better players that were there. And I'm not saying Ty Simpson's a bad player, but I do think like they are preparing themselves for the future at quarterback, which is really good. But I have them winning the division either 13-4 or 14-3.
Yep, totally agree with you. I think if any team, obviously, I don't think it's going to happen, but I think if any team had a claim at undefeated this year, it would be the Rams. I think they're the only team I could positively say that about. I don't think it's going to happen, but I think if any team had a claim in terms of that could possibly happen, I think the Rams have it. I think they're just so good, and I think that they're just it's such a fun team. I'm really excited to see that Rams-Chiefs game. I think we could get a repeat of that great Rams-Chiefs game from a couple of years ago where it was like 53-50. Like it was wild.
It was 51-54, I think.
Yeah, I think we could get a total rerun of that just because like both of these offenses are great. And I think that, I do worry about the Rams defense when push comes to shove, just because I think that just notoriously, like even with all the talent, they never really been a lockdown defense. But overall, I think they get the job done. And now we're talking about the Niners, who you said you're high on, and I am not low on them. I just don't think they're as good as like they should be. I don't know. I feel like they should be. They should be talking about how we talk about the Rams, but they're just not because. And I think that's a big thing to do with Purdy not being able to stay healthy. I like Brock Purdy a lot. This is my opinion. I like Brock Purdy a lot. I think he gets the job done. He's one of the most accurate quarterbacks in the NFL. And just last year, at times, you saw him become a playmaker. He became a playmaker in that Bears game. The thing that won them the game was him being able to get out the pocket and make plays that he usually wasn't able to. So I think we're starting to see Brock Purdy get into his playmaking element now that he got the bag. And so Purdy's a stud. Christian McCaffrey's not missed a beat. Comeback player of the year last year. He was very close to a 1,000 season. And I don't think that fades away. Kittle's obviously going to miss some of the year this year with that Achilles injury. But when he gets back,
they're going to be just as good. The O-line stayed pretty relatively the same. They added Mike Evans, who's going to be a total upgrade to Brandon Ayuk just because he'll be actually playing games.
Yeah.
They did lose Juwan Jennings, which I think is rough. I could see a potential Debo reunion. I know Debo's a free agent right now, and I think that's very much so a possibility. They have probably the best play caller in all of football, and Kyle Shanahan. Defense is, last year the thing was injuries. It wasn't defensive talent. The defense is just fine. Fred Warner, Nick Bosa. Overall, I think this team is good. I think they lack a lockdown corner and I know they have Hargrave, and I need him to actually be healthy in order for him to make an impact. And so I think that's the only thing I say they lack is a lockdown corner. I worry about Evans' health. I worry about the whole team's health, frankly, because this is going to be their only Achilles' heel is they can't stay healthy. And Shanahan still took that team to the playoffs last year. Overall, I've been finished second in the division. And I think they'll be right neck and neck with the Rams, like you said, 12, 13, 11 at worst wins. I think that they'll be right neck and neck with them. I think the Niners are good. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you. They're 12, 13 wins. I do think their ceiling is 13-4. Their floor is 11-6, maybe even 10-7 if everything goes to hell. I do like what they did, bringing in Mike Evans. I love Brock Purdy, as the 49ers being my second team. For those that don't know, my dad and brother are 49er fans, so I root for them at home. But yeah, I think Brock Purdy, even seeing him playing like I said, as an Iowa fan, he was an Iowa State player. Seeing him, in college and really develop, I think he's one of the best stories. Being
Mr. Irrelevant.
Mr. Irrelevant, and making that Super Bowl. Unfortunately, they lost. They shouldn't have. But I think they do lack a corner, like you said. I think they do lack a corner, and they do kind of lack a run defense. I feel like they improved their run defense though this year. But yeah, I think 12-5. I think they finished second in the division, right neck and neck with the Rams.
Yeah, I feel like this is kind of the majority take. Brock is kind of like I feel like that's the majority of people in the league feel that way. But I just disagree. I think that Brock at worst is like Kirk. I think at his worst he's Kirk, and I think at his best he's a playmaker. I think that last year you saw stretches where he literally became a playmaker. I know that Seahawks game they kind of got stomped on, but like that was the whole team stomping, and I think the Niners were just out of gas. I think they were beat up, battered, bruised, and so I like Kirk a lot. I think he is really good, and I'm excited to see what he does. Excuse me. Next year, and so yeah, I have them finishing there, and to finish off the NFC West. Excuse me. We have the stinker of the video, the Arizona Cardinals. They suck, and so honestly, potentially winless. We just talked about the Rams being potential undefeated. Cardinals are potential winless. They stink. Marvin Harrison Jr. I think he's gonna play well. They obviously have Trey McBride. Now Jeremiah Love, Parrish Johnson. There's some cornerstone building blocks. Obviously Buda Baker is there, who I talked about this earlier. I think he's a potential trade candidate just because he's old, he's on a big contract, and they stink. And so if I'm Buda Baker, do I want to be there? I'm a potential all-pro player. Couldn't I go somewhere else and be a I would like the Chiefs to potentially go out and make a move for Buda Baker, but hey, what do I know? So they stink. They suck. They're terrible. Kyler's gone. It's going to be Brissett. It's going to be potentially Carson Beck. They stink.
2 wins is my record prediction. 2 to 3 wins. I think they could potentially not win a game. And yeah, I don't know. I agree. The Cardinals do have talent, but I just think that overall, I don't know. I think Mike LaFleur's taking on a very tough situation there, and their defense is horrendous. Other than Josh Sweat and Buda Baker, it's just bad. I don't know. There's not much to talk about when it comes to the Cardinals. They stink.
Yeah, I have them obviously bottom of the division, either going 0-17. I don't even have them winning 2 games. I don't think they're capable of that. I mean, you have the Raiders at home, so they could go 2-15 or even 1-16. I do think it's tough because it's if Beck plays out next year and the Cardinals get the number 1 pick, it's do they get Arch? Do they get Arch? And it's I'm kind of on the fence about that because it's do they get Arch and just be we have 2 young quarterbacks, which I could see that, or do they go out and they get a really good guy at pick number 1? But yeah, I think they got really screwed with their schedule, the hardest in the NFL. But yeah, I do think that there is talent. I do like Carson Beck. I like Jeremiah Love. But yeah, so
yeah, I agree with you.
A rude awakening. So yeah.
Yeah, I think they're just this is not a good. I think Arch to the Cardinals is a possibility as well. I don't know how I don't know. We're being rated. I don't know how well that is going to work out in the grand scheme of things, but that's just kind of where we are with the Cardinals. As we finally are headed to what we think is going to happen in the playoffs. I think both teams have a potential for 3 playoffs. I think that that is the truth. I think that potentially both teams have 3 playoff teams. I also think we could see a division takeover in terms of 3 teams potentially winning a playoff game, and then you never know, right? So I think that it's gonna be a close race to the end, but I think we have potentially some good work from both divisions. I know you said you had the Seahawks just missing out, so that makes sense to me as well. But I think we have potential 3 playoff teams and in both divisions: Chiefs, Broncos, Chargers, and then I had the Chargers missing the division and missing playoffs, and then Rams, Seahawks. Why am I blanking on the 49ers? Thank you. Jeez. That's my potential playoff teams. I'm pretty sure you agree with me on that.
Yeah, I do think the NFC West will send more teams to the playoffs. I just don't think that. I mean, I do think that the Chargers are a team where they can win those games. They can make the playoffs. But if something terrible happens again this year, I don't think that they're going to be a playoff team. But I do think that both teams or both divisions can send 3. I don't think both will send 3, but I think that they can each send 3. So
if I'm wrong, it's impossible to send 4 if I'm right? Or can you send 4?
I think you can send 4, but it is very tough because it's you can't send 4 because you have 4 division winners.
Yeah.
And then you have the 3 wild cards. So I mean, you could if all 3 of them get a wild card, which that's very hard to do. But the Seahawks could finish 10-7 and not make the playoffs for crying out loud.
Yeah,
so
that's
depending, because it's the NFC is so stacked.
Dolphins
the Eagles
are not going to.
Yeah, but I mean the AFC is just so stacked every year. Same thing with the NFC. I think the NFC is better. I think it's easier to win and go to the playoffs in the AFC than it is in the NFC, just because of all of the teams that are in
Yeah.
the NFC. But yeah, I think
Yep. And then finally to end it off, and I think we touched on this a couple of times, but our final division standings, starting with the AFC West, and I know you have Denver in front, but I have KC, Denver, LAC, and finally the Raiders at 4.
Yeah, I have Broncos, Chiefs, Chargers, Raiders.
And then the NFC West, I have LAR, San Fran, Seattle, and then the Cardinals. I don't see any way that the only thing I could see is potential Seattle going up to 2 or 1, or like I think those 3 could be like you could miss and match them anywhere, but Cardinals aren't doing shit. So
yeah.
And it's funny because like the Raiders, on the other hand, like, you never know, catch fire. You could see them go on like a Colts type run, something like that. But it's not going to happen with the Cards.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. I have the same record standings. I think it's going to be Rams, Niners, Seahawks, and Cardinals. And then I think you could, mix and match those 3 teams. But, yeah.
So, Yep. Overall, I think that the Rams are the best team out of these 2 divisions. I just think that, and we'll touch on this in our power rankings video, but I think that's where we're at there. I'm excited to see overall which one of these divisions lives up to the moniker. And my king of the West, both divisions, the Los Angeles Rams, potentially winning 14 games.
Yeah, I think the king of the West is the Rams. So
and I think they kind of they're good. We didn't even touch on Sean McVay being the head coach. Like,
oh yeah,
the prodigy. He really changed how NFL coaches are hired because of how.
And he's going to be there a long time too.
Yeah. I think the thing only for him is like, what does his desire for coaching looks like, or because if I could also see him leave and go in. Like, he's just that good of a coach. He could go somewhere else. He could do whatever he feels. And he's such a good coach. Like I said, he changed the way we hire coaches. Because of him, there's a reason we got Mike McDaniel and all these other young guys to come in and take over. That McVay started that. So revolutionized the way that this sport is coached. And what a legend. Surprised.
Yeah, I mean, also, I do also think, like, you look at both West divisions, good quarterbacks, good coaches too. Sean Payton, Harbaugh, hopefully Kubiak, Andy Reid, and then hopefully with LaFleur, and then you got McVay, Shanahan, and Mike McDonald. So
Mike McDonald. And it's funny, out of all of those coaches we just named, the only defensive-minded coach is Mike McDonald. Mike McDonald, and I think he's revolutionary. I think he's the reason Jesse Minter got a head coaching job, is because the Seahawks took a risk on Mike McDonald and saying, like, hey, we're going to get a defensive guy to head our team, and they just won the Super Bowl. So I think that's a big reason why Minter got hired. So I'm trying to think, like, other defensively minded head coaches. I know Sirianni kind of does a little bit of both, but he doesn't call any plays. I guess Dan Quinn. Dan Quinn's the other defensive-minded head coach, because they had what's the name? Why am I blanking on his name? Cardinals' old coach,
Jonathan Gannon.
No, before him, Coach Mahomes at Texas Tech, coach at USC with Caleb Williams.
Oh yeah. I have him in my head right now.
Who's getting head coach interest?
Shoot. Cliff Kingsbury. That's what it is.
Cliff Kingsbury. That I was like, it's somewhere.
Yes.
Yeah, Cliff Kingsbury. What was I talking about him? Oh, he was the offensive coordinator in Washington, and so that's why Dan Quinn doesn't have to call offensive plays. John Harbaugh kind of is more offensive based. He kind of does both. He's like a better version of Sirianni, where he kind of does both. But and then in the NFC North, it's LaFleur, who's an offensive coach. KOC, who's an offensive coach. Dan Campbell does both. He doesn't call plays. He's a player development. He's a legend. We love Dan Campbell around here. No Dan Campbell hate accepted. And then obviously Ben Johnson's an offensive-minded head coach. So like the South, I guess Todd Bowles is a defensive head coach. Who's on the hot seat. And we'll talk about that in our AFC, NFC South video. But he's a defensive-minded head coach. Canales, obviously great offensive coach. Who's coaching the Saints? What's his name? Kellen Moore. He's coaching, and now I want to see if I can name all the coaches. Wait a minute. Okay, so I did. Okay, so Falcons head coach is Stefanski.
Kevin Stefanski just got hired there. So I cleared the NFC. All right, AFC West, we have Reed, Peyton, Kubiak, and Harbaugh. East, we have Joe Brady. He just got hired. Mike Vrabel. What's Jeff Haley? Yep, that's the. Yep. Jets is still. What's his name? It's like on the tip of my tongue. What's his name? Aaron Glenn. There we go. Now AFC North, Mike, why am I saying McGlinchey? No, what's his name? McCarthy. Jeez, Mike McCarthy, Jesse Minter, Zach Taylor. Browns is Todd Monken. He got hired there. Okay, AFC South.
Yep.
Shane Steichen. Jags have Liam Cohen. I already did the Colts. Colts, Jags. Who else is in that division? Texans and who?
Texans and Titans.
Titans, Saleh. Texans. What is his name? Why am I blanking on his name? Don't let this be the one I can't remember. I think this is. I cannot remember for the life of me. Don't tell me.
D'Amico Ryans. Oh, I already told you. I'm sorry.
D'Amico. Frack. No. Darn. No. I can't. Why did I couldn't get D'Amico, man? Dang. The only one of 2 or 3 black head coaches I couldn't remember. D'Amico. We're serious? And one of the better head coaches in the league, period. He's a defensive head coach. Dang it. That's how we're gonna end the video off, is me not remembering D'Amico Ryans. That's terrible. But this was the Wild West AFC and NFC West schedule breakdown here at the Playbook. Fun time, fun stream, fun talking points.
Yes, very fun stream.
And I'm glad that we got to do it. I am Lailend Duncan, joined by
Brody Carter.
And this is the Playbook signing off. Stay up to date on our social media to find out when and what we're streaming on what days. This is the last of the bunch we had scheduled. So we'll get together here in a little bit and we'll talk about what we're going to stream in the upcoming weeks. Thank you all for watching.
Yes.
This is the Playbook signing off.